Please help me. He's going to kill me. The 911 operator had heard those words before, the raw terror of a woman fearing for her life. But what happened next would shock even the most hardened police officers in DeSoto, Texas. As the frantic woman's screams echoed through the emergency dispatch center, 3 gunshots cracked across the open line. Then silence. When police burst through the front door of 1742 Magnolia Street 7 minutes later, they found a scene that would haunt them for years. Marcus Johnson's body sprawled on the bathroom floor, blood pooling beneath him, and his wife Keisha holding the smoking gun. "He came at me with a knife," she sobbed. "I had no choice." It was the perfect story of self-defense-y, desperate woman protecting herself from an abusive husband. Perfect, that is, until Detective Lena Holloway noticed something strange about the blood patterns. Something that made her wonder, what if this call for help was actually the final act in a calculated murder plot? What if the real killer was the person who dialed 911? Thank you for joining us on True Crime Atlas. If you appreciate these deep dives into the darker side of human behavior, please subscribe to our channel for weekly true crime stories that explore the psychology behind these tragic events. Your support helps us continue bringing these important stories to light. Sandra Reeves had been a 911 dispatcher for 10 years. She'd talked people through heart attacks, house fires, and horrific car accidents. But the call that came in at 10:37 p.m. on Tuesday, May 17th, would stay with her forever. 911. "What's your emergency?" Her voice was calm, professional, the anchor in someone else's storm. "Please, please help me." The woman's words tumbled out between gasps and sobs. "It's my husband, he's losing it throwing things. I've locked myself in the bathroom, but he's trying to break down the door." Sandra's training kicked in. "Ma'am, I need your address." 1742 Magnolia Street in DeSoto. The woman's voice cracked with terror. "Please hurry. He's been drinking, and he's never been this bad before." "What's your name?" "Keisha Johnson." "My husband's name is Marcus." There was a crash in the background so loud that Sandra pulled her headset away from her ear. "He's breaking through. Oh, God." The audio painted a vivid, terrifying scene. Wood splintering, heavy footsteps, a man shouting something unintelligible. Then Keisha's voice, higher now, edged with hysteria. "He has a knife. Marcus, no. Please." What followed would later be played in a hushed courtroom. 3 distinct gunshots, bang, 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 each one making the recording spike into red on Sandra's screen. Then silence. 13 long seconds of it. "Ma'am? Ma'am, are you there?" Sandra called, her own heart racing now. When Keisha's voice returned, it had transformed. The panic was gone, replaced by something quieter, almost hollow. I shot him. He came at me with a knife. I had to. The gun was in the bathroom cabinet. I had to shoot him. Please send help." "Officers are already on their way," Sandra assured her, signaling to her supervisor, who was already coordinating with police. "Are you injured?" "He cut my arm, but I'm okay." A pause. I think he's dead. "Stay on the line with me until officers arrive, okay?" "Is the gun secure?" "Yes. It's on the floor. I don't want to touch it anymore." Keisha's breath caught in what sounded like a sob. "I never thought I'd have to use it. We bought it together last year after the break-in next door." Sandra kept her talking about the cuts on her arm, about where exactly in the house she was, about whether there was anyone else in the home. Standard procedure for keeping the line open until help arrived. Officers James Martinez and Darius Washington reached the modest brick home 6 minutes and 42 seconds after the call began. Their body cameras captured the scene. The front door unlocked as Keisha had told Sandra it would be. The hallway with framed photos of a smiling couple. The master bathroom where they found Marcus Johnson, 35, sprawled face up on the white tile floor. Blood had spread in a dark pool beneath him, soaking into the bath mat and the hem of his gray t-shirt. 3 bullet wounds formed a tight grouping in the center of his chest. His eyes were open, fixed on the ceiling, seeing nothing. Keisha Johnson, 34, sat slumped against the bathtub, her dark skin ashen with shock, her cheeks streaked with tears. A 9mm Glock handgun lay on the floor about 2 feet from her right hand. Her left sleeve was pushed up, showing 3 thin cuts on her forearm, the blood already beginning to dry. And there, just inches from Marcus's outstretched right hand, lay a kitchen knife, its black handle pointing toward his fingers as if it had fallen from his grasp. "Mrs. Johnson?" Officer Martinez approached cautiously, keeping his voice gentle. "Are you hurt anywhere besides your arm?" She looked up at him with vacant eyes. "No. I need to secure the weapon, okay?" He carefully picked up the Glock, emptied the magazine and chamber, and handed it to his partner. As Washington radioed for detectives and crime scene units, Martinez helped Keisha to her feet and led her to the living room. The officer's initial report noted, "Scene consistent with subject's account of self-defense during domestic dispute." Everything matched Keisha's story perfectly: the broken bathroom door, the knife near the husband's hand, the defensive cuts on her arm, even the terrified 911 call. Almost too perfectly. Detective Lena Holloway arrived at the Johnson home 30 minutes after patrol officers secured the scene. At 42, Holloway was a 15-year veteran of the DeSoto Police Department. With a reputation for thoroughness and intuition, she'd investigated 7 domestic homicides in her career, and something about this one immediately felt wrong. "Walk me through what happened," Holloway asked Keisha, who sat wrapped in a blanket on the living room couch, while crime scene technicians worked in the bathroom. Keisha's account was straightforward. She and Marcus had argued about money, specifically his business expenses that were draining their savings. The argument escalated when Marcus began drinking whiskey. When he broke a vase, Keisha retreated to the bathroom and locked the door. She called 911 when Marcus began pounding on the door, threatening her. "He broke through the door," Keisha explained, her voice hollow. "He had grabbed a knife from the kitchen. He lunged at me, cut my arm." She displayed the 3 shallow cuts on her forearm. "I keep a gun in the bathroom cabinet for protection. I got it out and warned him to stop, but he kept coming. I had no choice." It was a clear case of self-defense. Everything happened as Keisha described. "Where were you standing when you fired?" Holloway asked. "By the sink." He was coming through the doorway. "And you fired 3 times?" "Yes. I just kept pulling the trigger until he stopped coming toward me." Holloway nodded, made notes. "Were there any problems in your marriage besides arguments about money?" Something flickered across Keisha's face, so brief Holloway almost missed it. "We had our ups and downs like any couple, but we loved each other." "I understand Marcus owned a business?" "Yes, MJ Financial Services. He and his partner Andre help small businesses with accounting and financial planning." "And Andre is?" "Andre Jackson. They've been best friends since college, started the business together 5 years ago." Holloway made note of the name. "Is there someone who can stay with you tonight? Family or friends?" Keisha nodded. "My sister is on her way. We'll need to finish processing the scene, which might take most of the night. Do you have somewhere you can go?" "I'll stay at my sister's place." As Holloway walked back to the bathroom, crime scene technician Raj Patel approached her. "Something's not adding up," he said quietly. "The blood spatter doesn't match her story." "How so?" "If he was coming through the doorway when she shot him, he should have fallen backward, or at least differently. And look at the cuts on her arm, they're all parallel, same depth, same length. Self-defense cuts are usually jagged, irregular." Holloway studied the scene again. The knife by Marcus's hand looked deliberately placed rather than dropped. "Bag the gun and knife for prints and DNA," Holloway said. "And I want the full 911 call audio for review." Something wasn't right, and Holloway was determined to find out what. The next morning, Detective Holloway met with the department's audio specialist, Terrence Williams, to review the 911 recording. "I've enhanced the audio and removed background noise," Williams explained. The call lasted approximately 4 minutes and 12 seconds. They listened to the call again. Keisha's panic, the breaking door, the threats, the gunshots, and the aftermath. Nothing seemed out of place until Williams pointed to his screen. "The call doesn't end when the dispatcher says goodbye." The line stayed open for another 53 seconds. "What did we pick up?" "At first, just shuffling sounds. But at 41 seconds after the formal end of the call, there's this." Williams played the enhanced audio. A male voice, barely above a whisper. Okay, breathe. Is it done right?" Then Keisha's voice, equally quiet. "Near his hand. Like we said. Andre, these scratches better look real." Male voice. "They're fine. Hang up now." Keisha's voice. "I already did." But she hadn't. The call had remained connected, capturing the damning exchange. Holloway felt her pulse quicken. "Andre, that's the business partner she mentioned." "Sounds like they staged the whole thing," Williams said. "Make me a clean copy of that section." Holloway instructed. "We need to find Andre Jackson." Andre Jackson lived in an upscale apartment in downtown Dallas, 20 minutes from the Johnson home. When Holloway and Detective James Reyes arrived at his door at 11:30 a.m., he appeared surprised but composed. "Andre Jackson?" Holloway asked, showing her badge. "Yes. What's this about?" "We're investigating the death of Marcus Johnson." "May we come in?" Andre's expression shifted to one of shock. "Marcus is dead? What happened?" "His performance was good, but not good enough." "That's what we're trying to determine," Holloway said, watching him carefully. "When was the last time you spoke with Marcus or Keisha?" "Marcus and I had a business meeting yesterday afternoon around 3 p.m. I haven't spoken to Keisha in probably a week." "Where were you last night between 10 p.m. and midnight?" Andre hesitated just long enough to be noticeable. "Here, watching TV and going over some client files." "Anyone who can verify that?" "No, I live alone." "Tell us about your business relationship with Marcus." Andre invited them in, gesturing toward his living room furniture. The apartment was immaculate, minimalist, and expensive, perhaps too expensive, for someone in a small financial services business. "Marcus and I started MJ Financial 5 years ago. We have about 40 clients, mostly small businesses who need accounting and financial planning help." "How is the business doing?" Reyes asked. "Fine, growing steadily." "Mind if we check your phone records?" Holloway asked casually. Andre's confident demeanor faltered. "Don't you need a warrant for that?" "We can get one," Holloway replied. "Or you can cooperate voluntarily if you have nothing to hide. I'd prefer you go through proper channels." "That's your right." "One more question. Would you describe your relationship with Keisha Johnson as purely friendly, or was there something more?" Andre's face hardened. "I don't know what you're implying, but Keisha is my business partner's wife. Our relationship is appropriate and professional." "I see," Holloway said, standing. "We'll be in touch, Mr. Jackson. Please don't leave town." In the car, Reyes glanced at Holloway. "He's involved." "Absolutely," Holloway agreed. "Let's get those warrants and see what his phone records tell us." The phone records told a story more intimate than any love letter. Detective James Reyes spread the documents across Holloway's desk, each page revealing a hidden relationship built in stolen moments and secret communications. In the past 3 months alone, Andre Jackson and Keisha Johnson exchanged 1,246 text messages and 72 phone calls, Reyes explained, highlighting patterns in the data. Most calls occurred between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. after Marcus would likely be asleep. "What about the day of the murder?" Holloway asked. "They spoke 6 times. Reyes pointed to the timestamps, including a 17-minute call at 10:04 p.m., just 33 minutes before Keisha dialed 911. Holloway studied the call patterns. "So, they're talking right up until the murder. What about location data?" Andre's phone pinged off a cell tower 3 blocks from the Johnson home at 9:15 p.m., then returned to his apartment building by 9:45 p.m. "He was in the neighborhood," Holloway murmured. "Close enough to be involved, but establishing an alibi by returning home before the 911 call. With this evidence, they secured a search warrant for Andre's apartment and electronic devices. What they found exceeded their expectations. A secret email account Andre had used exclusively to communicate with Keisha, messages that left no doubt about their romantic relationship and murderous intentions. From Andre to Keisha, date 2 weeks before the murder subject. Can't wait. K. I can't stop thinking about yesterday. 2 years is too long to live in the shadows. M is draining the company and our future. The plan is solid. Once it's done, we'll have everything: the business, the insurance, and each other. Just follow the script exactly as we practiced. When you call 911, remember to sound completely terrified. The dispatcher needs to hear the fear in your voice. Make sure there's background noise. Throw something. Slam doors. Make it sound chaotic. The more realistic it seems, the less they'll question later. 3 more weeks of pretending and then we're free. I already have the resort booked for us in Bali, your grief trip that no one will question you taking. Yours always, A. From Keisha to Andre, date 1 week before the murder subject. Final details. I've been practicing with the gun at the range like you suggested. My grouping is tight now, center mass, just like the instructor said. The cuts will be tricky, but I'll make them shallow and in places easily visible but not dangerous. The hardest part will be sounding convincing on the 911 call. I've been watching videos of people in panic to get it right. I recorded myself yesterday and played it back. I think I sound authentic enough to fool anyone. I secured the knife from the kitchen set. It's the one with the black handle that Marcus never uses. I've wiped it clean and will only handle it with gloves until it's time. I'm nervous but ready. I hate living with him while loving you. Sometimes I catch him looking at me and wonder if he suspects something. Does he see it in my eyes when I look at you at the office parties? Does he hear your name in my sleep? Soon this will all be over. Love you, Kay. From Andre to Keisha, date 3 days before the murder subject. Timing. K. Tuesday night works perfectly. I checked his calendar and confirmed he has that stressful client meeting with Westfield Corp in the afternoon. He'll be on edge already, maybe have a drink or two to unwind. That makes our story more believable. Remember, after it's done, you must make those cuts on your arm before the police arrive. Make them look defensive, like you were raising your arm to protect yourself. The knife needs to be near his right hand. Blade pointed toward where you'll be standing. I'll be at my apartment, establishing my alibi. I'll order food delivery around 9:30 p.m. so there's a record of me being home. Then I'll turn on the TV loud enough for my neighbors to hear. We've thought of everything. This will work. A. From Keisha. 2. Andre, date. Day before the murder subject. Tomorrow. It's happening tomorrow. I feel strangely calm now that the decision is made. I'll pick a fight about the business expenses, a topic that always gets him worked up. I've moved his whiskey bottle to the front of the cabinet. The gun is loaded and hidden in the bathroom where I said it would be. This time tomorrow it will be over. This time next month we'll be together without hiding. I love you more than I've ever loved anyone. That's how I know I can do this. K. The emails continued, dozens of them, detailing their plan to stage a domestic violence incident that would end with Keisha killing Marcus in apparent self-defense. They had rehearsed the scenario repeatedly, plotting everything from the argument topic to the placement of the knife to the exact wording Keisha would use with the 911 dispatcher. They planned this for months, Reyes said, scrolling through more emails. Practiced it like a theater production. Look at this. Holloway pointed to an attachment in one email. Floor plans of their house with positions marked. X marks where Marcus should fall. K is Keisha's position when firing, arrows showing the path she'll take to get the gun. It's cold. Reyes shook his head. Living with someone, sleeping beside them, all while planning their murder. A deeper search of Andre's devices revealed something even more disturbing. A folder containing audio files labeled 911 Practice with timestamps. When they played the files, they heard Keisha rehearsing different versions of panic and distress, perfecting her performance for when it really mattered. But even this meticulous planning couldn't match the damning evidence from the financial investigation. Forensic accountant Teresa Vasquez arrived at the DeSoto Police Department with 3 boxes of financial records and a grim expression. She'd spent 72 hours immersed in the financial world of MJ Financial Services, following money through a labyrinth of accounts, transfers, and suspicious transactions. It's textbook embezzlement, she explained to Holloway, spreading spreadsheets across the conference room table. Each page was highlighted with yellow, pink, and green markers, a colorful map of financial crimes. Andre Jackson has been siphoning money from client accounts for at least 18 months. We're talking about 437,000 so far. How did he do it? Holloway asked, studying the columns of numbers. He created shadow accounts, dummy accounts that mirrored legitimate client investments. When clients deposited money, Andre would move a portion to these shadow accounts, then alter the statements to show the full amount still in the main account. Wouldn't clients notice their money wasn't performing as expected? That's the clever part. They only took from their largest accounts, and only percentages small enough that fluctuations in the market would mask the theft. 5% here, 8% there. He falsified performance reports to show expected returns. Did Marcus know? Vasquez pushed forward a folder of printed emails. Based on these messages from clients questioning their statements, he was starting to figure it out. The Baldwin Group noticed a discrepancy in their quarterly statement 3 weeks ago. They emailed Marcus directly with questions Andre couldn't easily answer. She opened Marcus's recovered phone calendar. Look at this entry for the day after his death. Confront Andre Ree. Baldwin and Takemoto accounts, 9 a.m. Holloway felt a chill. So Marcus was about to discover the theft. Yes, and there's more. Vasquez pulled out another documented insurance policy. Marcus had a $2 million life insurance policy with Keisha as the sole beneficiary. He updated it just 6 months ago before Andre's embezzlement would have become obvious to him. What about the business? Who inherits Marcus's share? According to their partnership agreement, if either partner dies, the surviving partner has first option to buy the deceased partner's share at a predetermined value, in this case, $1.4 million. But here's the interesting part. Vasquez highlighted a clause on page 7. The buyout can be financed over 10 years, so Andre wouldn't need cash up front. So with Marcus dead, Andre gets full control of the business, Keisha gets the insurance payout, and the embezzlement is never discovered, Holloway summarized. Exactly. And there's one more thing. Vasquez pulled up a bank statement on her laptop. I found a safe deposit box in Andre's name at First National Bank of Dallas. He accessed it the morning after the murder. We need to see what's in that box. A judge signed the warrant within an hour. When Holloway and Reyes opened the safe deposit box that afternoon, they found $175,000 in cash, passport photos of both Andre and Keisha, and a handwritten list of countries without extradition treaties with the United States. The motive was now crystal clear. Andre was stealing from the business and about to be caught. He and Keisha were having an affair. Together, they plotted to kill Marcus, making it look like self-defense, allowing them to collect the insurance money, take control of the business, and disappear if necessary, erasing both the embezzlement problem and their unhappy marriages in one calculated move. The only thing they hadn't counted on was the 911 call capturing their post-murder conversation. "It's almost admirable how thorough they were," Reyes commented as they drove back to the station. "They thought of everything." "Not everything," Holloway corrected. "They forgot to hang up the phone." Armed with the evidence from the 911 call, the email exchanges, phone records, and financial documents, Detective Holloway obtained arrest warrants for both Keisha Johnson and Andre Jackson. Keisha was arrested at her sister's home, where she had been staying since the night of the murder. She appeared shocked when Holloway read the charges: first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. "This is ridiculous," she protested as she was handcuffed. "It was self-defense. You have the 911 call." "Yes, we do," Holloway agreed. "The entire call, including the part where you and Andre discussed placing the knife near Marcus's hand." Keisha's face drained of color. Andre Jackson put up more resistance when officers arrived at his apartment. He attempted to flee down the fire escape, but was quickly apprehended. In his possession was a passport, $12,000 in cash, and a one-way ticket to Belize departing that evening. During separate interrogations, both Keisha and Andre initially maintained their innocence. But when presented with the enhanced 911 audio capturing their post-murder conversation, their strategies diverged. Keisha broke down. "It was Andre's idea," she sobbed. "He said Marcus was going to ruin everything, the business, our relationship. He said no one would question self-defense if we planned it right." Andre, meanwhile, attempted to shift all blame to Keisha. "She was obsessed with me," he claimed. "She kept saying Marcus was abusive and controlling. She came up with the plan. I went along with it because I cared about her." But the evidence told a different story, one of cold, calculated murder driven by greed and deception. On a rainy Thursday morning, 8 days after Marcus Johnson's death, Detective Lena Holloway stood outside Keisha Johnson's sister's suburban home. 5 officers positioned themselves strategically around the property standard procedure for a murder arrest, even when the suspect wasn't considered dangerous. Holloway knocked firmly. When Keisha opened the door, dressed in black loungewear with her hair pulled back, she looked confused rather than frightened. "Detective? Is there news about Marcus's case?" "Keisha Johnson," Holloway began formally, "I'm placing you under arrest for the murder of Marcus Johnson." Keisha's expression shifted from confusion to outrage as Holloway continued reciting the Miranda warning. "This is ridiculous," she protested as Officer Washington gently but firmly secured handcuffs around her wrists. "It was self-defense. You have the 911 call. You saw what he did to me." "Yes, we do have the 911 call," Holloway agreed, making deliberate eye contact. "The entire call, including the part where you and Andre discussed placing the knife near Marcus's hand." Keisha's face transformed, the color draining visibly, her eyes widening with the sudden, terrible understanding that her perfect plan had unraveled because of one simple oversight. "I want a lawyer," she whispered. Across town, Andre Jackson's arrest proved more dramatic. When officers arrived at his luxury apartment building, the doorman informed them that Mr. Jackson had checked out that morning, mentioning an international flight. A quick call to Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport confirmed what Holloway already suspected. Andre Jackson had booked a 2:15 p.m. flight to Belize country with no extradition treaty with the United States. Airport police intercepted him at the gate. In his carry-on luggage, they found a passport, $12,000 in cash, and minimal personal belongings. In his checked bag, investigators later discovered a laptop containing copies of the same incriminating emails found in his apartment, apparently forgotten in his haste to flee. During separate interrogations, both Keisha and Andre initially maintained their innocence. But their strategies quickly diverged when presented with the enhanced 911 audio capturing their post-murder conversation. Keisha broke down, sobbing so hard that the interview had to be paused twice. It was Andre's idea, she finally managed, mascara streaking down her cheeks. He said Marcus was going to ruin everything, the business, our relationship. He said no one would question self-defense if we planned it right. She described how they had rehearsed the scenario multiple times, how Andre had coached her on making the cuts on her arm shallow enough to avoid serious injury, but visible enough to support her story. "I loved Andre," she whispered. "I thought we were going to have this amazing life together. I didn't know about the money, the embezzlement. He never told me Marcus was suspicious." Andre, meanwhile, adopted a different approach. Cool and composed in his designer suit, he attempted to shift all blame to Keisha. "She was obsessed with me," he claimed, his voice steady despite the damning evidence against him. "She kept saying Marcus was abusive and controlling, though I never saw any evidence of that. She came up with the plan. I went along with it because I cared about her. It was a terrible mistake." When confronted with the emails outlining the murder plot in his own words, Andre requested his lawyer. Neither strategy worked. The evidence was overwhelming: the 911 recording, the email trail detailing their meticulous planning, financial records showing Andre's embezzlement, and forensic evidence contradicting Keisha's self-defense claim. 6 months later, the courtroom was packed every day of what the media had dubbed the 911 murder trial. Extra seating had been arranged to accommodate the crowds, and a lottery system determined which members of the public would gain access each day. The prosecution, led by veteran District Attorney Eleanor Harris, had an airtight case. The evidence was presented methodically. First, the forensic evidence from the crime scene blood spatter analysis that contradicted Keisha's description of events, the suspicious positioning of the knife, the 2 perfect defensive wounds on her arms. Next, the financial evidence detailing Andre's systematic embezzlement from MJ Financial and Marcus's imminent discovery of the theft. Then the phone records and emails documenting the affair and the months of planning that went into the murder. Finally, the enhanced 911 recording played at full volume in the hushed courtroom, the damning exchange between the conspirators causing several jurors to visibly recoil. The defense teams, working separately but pursuing similar strategies, attempted to portray their clients as manipulated by the other. Keisha's attorney emphasized her clean prior record and community volunteer work, suggesting she had fallen under Andre's malign influence. Andre's lawyer highlighted his philanthropic donations and painted him as emotionally vulnerable following his divorce 2 years earlier. Neither approach gained traction with the jury. On the trial's 11th day, facing the possibility of the death penalty, both defendants accepted plea deals. Keisha Johnson pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and conspiracy, receiving a sentence of 35 years in prison. Andre Jackson pleaded guilty to the same charges plus embezzlement, receiving 40 years. When offered the opportunity to address the court before sentencing, Keisha turned to Marcus's family in the gallery. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice barely audible. "I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. What I did, there's no excuse." Andre declined to speak. For Detective Lena Holloway, The Johnson case became a touchstone in her career, an example she would reference repeatedly when training new detectives. "Sometimes the most important evidence is what doesn't fit," she told a class of police cadets months later. In the Johnson case, everything looked right at first glance, too right, too perfect. Real crime scenes have inconsistencies. Real victims don't act according to script. When something looks staged, it probably is. The case also highlighted the crucial importance of technology in modern investigations. Had the 911 call disconnected properly? Had Keisha and Andre checked to ensure the line was dead before speaking? They might have gotten away with murder. Criminal investigations have always been about the details, Holloway explained. But today, those details are often digital. A text message timestamp, a cell tower ping, 53 seconds of recorded audio that someone thought wasn't being captured. The case transformed police procedure in Dallas County, with new protocols established for reviewing 911 calls in their entirety, including any time after the formal conclusion of the conversation. For Sandra Reeves, the 911 dispatcher who took Keisha's call, the case brought a complex mix of emotions. "I was trained to believe callers," she said in a rare media interview a year after the trial. "To be their lifeline when they're terrified. Finding out I was actually helping someone commit murder, it shook my faith in what I do." She stayed with the emergency services, but requested additional training in detecting deception over the phone. The recording of Keisha's call is now used in dispatcher training programs nationwide. For the families left behind, the case brought only pain. Marcus Johnson's parents and siblings attended every day of the legal proceedings, watching as the wife he had trusted and the friend he had partnered with admitted to plotting his death. "No sentence can bring him back," Marcus's mother, Elaine Johnson, told reporters outside the courthouse. "But at least there's justice. At least the truth came out." She established a scholarship in Marcus's name at his alma mater, focusing on ethics in business, a pointed response to the betrayal that ended her son's life. Local residents still speak in hushed tones about the night when a frantic 911 call masked a calculated murder and how the tiniest oversight broke the case wide open. For the clients of MJ Financial Services, the betrayal was financial as well as personal. Andre's embezzlement had jeopardized retirement funds, college savings, and small business investments. A court-appointed receiver spent 18 months untangling the financial mess, eventually recovering about 60% of the stolen funds. The remaining 40%, nearly $175,000, was never located, leading to speculation that Andre had accomplices beyond Keisha or offshore accounts that investigators couldn't trace. "Cases like this remind us why we do this job," Holloway said at the press conference following the sentencing. "Not just to punish the guilty, but to speak for victims who can no longer speak for themselves." Marcus Johnson deserved better than to be betrayed by the two people he trusted most, because in the end, it's often the smallest details that reveal the largest truths. A few seconds of unguarded conversation, the precise angle of blood spatter, the too perfect placement. If you found this story compelling, please subscribe to True Crime Atlas for more in-depth explorations of cases that challenge investigators and reveal the dark side of human relationships. Your subscription helps us continue bringing these stories to light, honoring victims through truth and awareness.